women and like female characters, like we deserve to be whatever we want whenever we feel like it.
You should see it out there. They're all going crazy for you. They're saying you're a bad influence on me.
Now, Todd has this great quote recently, just in terms of taking on this whole entire sequel. He says, "Why do something if it doesn't scare the shit out of you?"
Oh, right.
First of all, does anything scare Lady Gaga?
Definitely things scare me, you know, and but you know, scare me in a way though that I feel really grateful all the time that I get to live a life making art and being in films and making music.
What scared you most about taking on the role, if at all?
You know, I would say the thing that scared me the most about making this film is that it's a very dark world, this movie, and so being in that world every single day and also like sort of shifting reality to be in Lee's head. You know, she's in love with a very complex person, and she's a complex person, and it's a dark world for the two of them. So, you know, just sort of living like that was, you know, definitely a challenge. It was really funny when I was done filming, I went for a hike outside and it was really sunny and there were like these 6-foot-tall flowers, and I thought, the world is so beautiful. Wow, life is so happy. Yeah, because at the core of it, that world is dark.
Did anything scare you about your role or joining this movie at all?
That's a really interesting question because no, I didn't feel fear in agreeing to do it or being thrilled about being asked to do it, because everything about the first film had made me intensely interested in the whole setup and how that level of creativity and artistic achievement can actually happen. And no, I wanted to be a part of this in the beginning, but what I loved, part of what made me excited about doing it was the fact that everybody was taking such a leap again. How about you, Arthur? Do you still think you're a star?
Even just doing a sequel to this beloved movie that, you know, became bigger than we ever thought it would be is daunting. And then to take it in this direction also felt doubly insane. I don't know, but why does that? I mean, for me, why do we do this at all? But to take risks.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, you know, when given the opportunity and having the privilege to be able to do what I do as a job for so long, I've just found it just becomes so much more interesting when we take risks and swing for the fences.
What did you see as probably one of the bigger risks in the sequel?
I mean, I think just the idea of people, you know, a lot of people just, I think when we first announced that there's music in the movie, whether you call it a musical or not, and by the way, sure, it's a musical. I know people got upset because once I said, it's not really a musical. I don't know, you tell me, is it a full-on musical? Here's the thing. The reason I say, well, it's not really a musical is mainly because I find that when I've ever gone to see musicals, I walk out of the musical happier than I was when I walked in. And I don't know that it's going to happen with this one. So I don't want to mislead people that you're going to be walking out whistling, you know, the tunes from this movie. So that's kind of what I mean, but it's not really what, it just means it's not really what you think.
I mean, the music does a lot of work to explain and contextualize where people are, you know, and I think in that sense.
In that sense, you're right. In that sense, it's very much musical, you're right.
Let's give the people what they want.
At what point did you realize that Lady Gaga was the person who needed to play Lee?
Speaking about music, so, you know, we're writing the script and we're just kind of messing around with ideas, and Scott Silver, who is my writing partner, and we kept kind of going more and more towards music, and at some point, like halfway through the script, I said to him, it'd be interesting, we should Gaga, because wouldn't it be great to find an actor who brings music with them? Obviously she does that in spades. So that's probably when I reached out to her. I actually think the first time I sent her the script, I sent her half the script, meaning we were only halfway done, but I just wanted to get a read from her because it's so much easier to write for somebody when you know they're interested or you know you have them.
Let's get out of here.
IMDb fans love to know how actors prepare for these type of performances. What rituals or preparation did you do to get into that world and also stay in that world?
I just tried to keep her inner life really strong, so it was almost like always just honoring whatever storm was in me and allowing that to be amplified to be alive in her. But also, I tried to never decide what she was. I think like women and like female characters, like we deserve to be whatever we want whenever we feel like it. And that, being pinned down and stereotyped, especially in like, an edgy role, right, is like something that I was actually concerned with. I really wanted her to be as vibrant and as magical as she wanted to be in any given moment. So, there's moments where Lee is really disturbed, and there's others where she has like a kind of purity to her. And, I think women, we can be all of these things.
What is it like to give her a musical note on set?
It's not hard, because what is it like to give Joaquin an acting note, right? It's the job. It doesn't mean I'm a better actor than Joaquin, certainly, or a better musician than Gaga. It just means, hey, I'm watching this from outside, and I think you might want to inject a little more emotion in this version of the song right here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not necessarily a music note, but it's all one thing.
I know what my favorite musical number in the movie is, but did you have one that you were particularly proud of?
For me, it was when Joaquin sings For Once in My Life.
Nice.
And that's not disrespect to her, because she's so much better as a singer, but it's the first moment where I see him wake up in the movie, meaning like he's coming alive. So that's why it's my first, not because he's better than her. He's not a better singer. He'll tell you that too. It's that, oh my God, he's coming alive again. So that's probably what it would be for me.
So we start the movie with what this world needs now is love, sweet love.
Yeah.
Was there any thought of actually bringing that into the movie and having maybe Lady Gaga sing it?
No, I mean, there was, and it didn't really necessarily find its way in, but we thought, okay, let's put it in the beginning. And there's a little thing, Nick Cave is singing that version in the animated thing, which I love. But anyway, no. But if you noticed, or go look now on IMDb and pull up the first teaser trailer we put out, and that's the song we cut to, is the Burt Bacharach version, because that's kind of the opening message of the film, so to speak,
And the pervasive message of it. Your character, Jackie, plays a pretty essential role in getting viewers up to speed on the state of affairs for Arthur. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, like everything in this movie, it starts on the basis of a kind of relationship that is quite hard to figure out.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, obviously I'm a prison guard, so ergo he's in prison. But I think the opening scene kind of tells pretty much everything you need to know from that whole opening section where they go to slop out. You get the whole regime, and my guy is in there, I suppose, with a certain bonhomie that's not maybe that trustworthy.
At least initially you inject a little bit of spark of joy, or at least try to. Is that fair to say?
The character was interesting. I had my own way of coming to him. Mm-hmm. I kind of figured that, there's a little part of him was a bit of a showman.
Yeah.
And there was a little part of him wanted to be thought or wanted to think of himself as a bit of a nice guy, and if they play with ball with him, he'd play with ball with them up to a certain point, as long as they didn't get out of hand and stuff like that. But as he progresses, that side of him comes under pressure because he feels belittled.
So the scenes with you and Joaquin are kind of like master classes in, I don't know, like they are just...
Oh, you say that to all the girls.
What is he like as a scene partner?
He's fantastic. It's never... It has to be alive with him. I had worked with him briefly before, and I saw it kind of in action. There is a kind of an integrity in the way that he approaches every take that is uncompromising in a way that some people might find challenging, and which can be challenging for everybody involved, but is not based on anything other than a creative curiosity, an intensity of seeking to unearth something that hadn't been previously unearthed within even that moment. Honestly, it was an immense thing. It's one of the things I would be most proud of being a part of, I think.
You can do anything you want. Your choice.